I'm going to record our meeting together here today so that anyone who isn't on, which are hundreds of people, will be able to watch it, you know, and see it again. And if we ever want to go back to it, we'll be able to see it. Okay? So, I just as a sense of introduction, because some of you never met me, I was a parishioner, am a parishioner of St. John's Episcopal Church, where Rusty served as priest for 17 or 18 years. Rusty had a bigger influence on my life than maybe anyone else. Maybe. Not my mother, not my father, you know, but he had a tremendous influence on me. And I loved him dearly and will miss him, have missed him and will miss him dearly. So we just tried to put together something informally just because we miss him and not to have to wait a while. There'll be something more formal, I'm sure, that St. John's will be doing and the family will be doing and stuff. But this was just to get together and share some memories, prayers, songs, videos, whatever we can. So that's the context of why we're here tonight. Okay? So I just want to go around and introduce. No, I'm going to go around and just ask each person to introduce themselves. Okay? And let's start with Ben up in the corner. Now, is everyone on gallery view?
Yes.
All right, let's all stay on gallery view so we're not bouncing around like speaker view will cause. Okay, great. Ben, why don't you say something about yourself, how you connected to Rusty, you know, and
Hi, I'm Ben. He was my uncle, so I refer to him as Uncle Rusty. He's kind of been just the uncle, and that's about it.
Okay. And later on, you're going to share how he married you twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other things, right? And Chris, why don't you just say who you are and you know, something brief about your connection with Rusty, and later on, we're going to get into more detail.
Yeah, my name's Chris DiGiorgio. I'm now a minister. Rusty was very instrumental in my spiritual development. I met Rusty through the Loft in, I want to say 1995, and I became a member of St. John's shortly after that, probably in 1996. And I was a member of St. John's till 2015.
You guys are already
Corrine? Is that Corrine?
Oh,
I'm
not sure.
Looks like
So why don't, Fran,
Yes.
I'm ready to, someone else to go next.
Okay. Yes. Okay, John. No, Michael. Michael, how are you? Can you, are you able to speak? I'm going to unmute you, see how it works. How does it go?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
The reason why I was
also hear
on
that
mute,
monkey in the background.
is there that background noise you're hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like two monkeys.
Yeah. I
Okay.
wish I could say I had some crazy people in the corner over there,
All right.
but I don't.
Okay.
Making all that
One
noise. I don't
second.
know what it is.
Kelly is yelling to me from the other room. Hold on a second to let her in. Hold on. Elaine, I think the best I could do is try to copy the link that I originally sent you. Copy the link and paste it into the
more
URL.
people.
Okay, I tried. I could get the copy. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we don't hold on. Don't
Use it back.
Michael, why don't you continue?
well, one second. I'm sorry, 1 second.
I'm having more fun watching Fran go crazy.
1 second. I want
No?
I want to interrupt what we're
TV or
doing.
what?
I want to interrupt what we're doing. And I want Elaine, who is Michael, I'm going to mute you for a second. All right?
Okay.
I'm going to mute you so we don't hear the monkeys. Okay. Elaine, who is a friend of Sally's. Is that right, Sally? Right? Sally can't hear us.
Did anyone tell her to unmute her? Let me just send her a chat.
She's not
Wait.
muted though.
Not muted.
She's not?
She
She doesn't look muted.
She hasn't connected her audio.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Anyway, Elaine, why don't you just say something about Rusty? Elaine is Sally's friend. She's on speakerphone. She's just going to say how she's connected and why she loved Rusty.
Well, it's interesting that I've never met Rusty in person, but because Sally Bishop is a really dear friend of mine, she shared with me about her brother and what a dear spirit he had and how he touched so many people's lives. And I wanted to come and join this group today just because I feel like it's a privilege that he was such a man of God and that God used him in such a mighty way in so many people's lives. So I'm sorry I can't connect and see everybody, but I just wanted to say hello. I care very much for all of you whose hearts are hurting.
Kyle.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Elaine,
Okay.
we're going to send, you could always get back in touch with me to
Yeah.
remind me, but I will send you a recording of today. So at least you'll be able to see that.
Good sound. Would you tell her that I tried?
Yes, in fact, Sally's still trying because her sound is not, she's not hearing us. Okay, all right. Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Okay, back to Mike. Michael, I'm sorry you're hearing this. We're hearing this noise behind you, but anyway, that was Sally. I hope you heard Sally. I mean, that was Sally's friend, Elaine. So, Michael, why don't you share what you were sharing before?
Yeah. I know Rusty and Anthony are very, very dear friends. And I met them through the loft. And it's just too bad. Rusty was an absolute character. Definitely could play a part of a non-priest in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From Central Casting.
Right.
He was a good guy, and I'm going to miss him. But I'm Michael Pierce, and I'm up here in Peekskill. But I, again, met them at the loft. And I met a lot of you at the church. Some of you look
Yes.
familiar.
Yes, you look familiar to me. All right, very good. And all right, let's go. I'm going to mute you again, Michael. If
Okay.
you want to say anything during more, just raise your physical hand,
Okay.
and then I'll unmute you. All right? So
Sure.
that we. But the noise, there's this noise going on. Okay. Ruth, hi.
Hello.
Hi. So you're a friend of Tammy's and of Rusty's?
Yes, that's how I met Rusty, through my very close friendship with Tammy. And I am a musician, and Rusty did ask me to play for the services at several of St. John's services a few years ago, and it was probably the most joyful experience I have had as a musician, going to those services and playing for them. And being a participant in Rusty's ecumenical spirit, I always felt so welcome there. And right now I have become very involved with as music director of the Society for Jewish Science, and I have taken with me to that role many of the wonderful spiritual experiences I had by being part of the St. John's family for the very few times I was there, but those times were they were just spectacular. And I do appreciate very much this opportunity today to share those experiences and to remember the spirit of that beloved, wonderful man.
Thank you very much. Ruth, you play piano?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I remember you at a few of the services. And a little bit later, we're going to be playing some videos from some of those services. And we'll be hearing, not yourself, but we'll be hearing other music and singing. So that should be a joy for you too.
Thank you.
Okay, and so welcoming T, Teresa Pierulli.
Hi.
Hi, T.
Hi, T.
I met Rusty.
Hey, T.
Hi, T.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. I was living in Hartsdale with my friend Mary, and Rusty had come to the house to appraise something because he had his antique shop at the time. And we just started talking, and he invited me to church, and the rest is history. But I have more to say, but that's how I met Rusty.
Rest is
Coming through the church.
Fabulous.
say something.
Yep.
Jeanne, you can say something.
Okay.
Who's next?
Tammy.
Yes.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi. So, all right. So I first met Rusty at Chris Giorgio's house. It was a birthday party, and Rusty was standing there in his Hawaiian shirt with his those sandals and white socks he always wore, and a glass of scotch in his hand.
Yeah.
And he started
Chivas Regal.
he started telling stories, and one of them was, I'm sure, one that many of us have heard about, a foot washing incident, a Holy Thursday foot washing incident, that by the time he had finished telling it, I was literally on the floor from laughing so hard. And that's how I met Rusty, and how I started going to the first church I'd been to in 50 years.
Sally Bishop, and guide her on.
She's trying a different computer.
Thanks, Tammy. I just want to give Kelly a message to call Sally on the phone and guide her into getting connected so she doesn't miss this whole thing. All right. Hold on just one moment. I want to get her number. And then we're going to call Irene, actually. Let's see. Sally Bishop. There it is. I don't have her phone number.
She's actually trying to log in with a different computer to see if her audio will work on a different laptop.
Okay. Ben, could you ask her, if you're speaking with her, could you ask her to call this number, write this number down? If she can't get on, she could call my daughter Kelly, and Kelly will walk her through it. 914-589-6196. Okay?
Yes.
All right, Kelly, stay here. We're gonna call Joanne. Hold on. Okay, what we're gonna do, before we go on, we're going to, just because I told her we call her at 7:10, I want to stick to that. We're going to call Joanne Bartoli. Kelly? Okay, I think I'm gonna call Joanne Bartoli. There we go.
You have the number?
Yes, I do.
Nobody. Chris. These are all
Now, when Joanne comes on,
live from Tammy.
when Joanne comes on, let's all be quiet so that she doesn't get distracted. And Kyle, something's up going on.
What's the matter?
There's a lot of noise. Is it yours?
Everybody would mute. Everybody mute and just unmute when you want to speak. Then it'll.
Well, okay.
Hello?
All right, I'll mute everyone. Yeah, let me. Irene's coming on. Irene's coming on, and some other people, Beth and Susi. All right, hold on. All right. So I'm going to call Joanne now. I'm going to welcome Irene. Hi, Irene. So glad you could be with us.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, Irene. Hi, Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, Irene.
Hi,
Hi,
Shirley.
everyone. Okay, please go on to the gallery view if you can. Go on gallery view so you can see everyone at the same time.
Mimi said hi to us.
And
Hi, Mimi.
if you
Hello.
want,
Hi.
hi everyone. If you want to speak, just please raise your hand when someone else is speaking. You know what I mean? So we're just going to go to Joanne right now, and then we're going to go to Irene. Okay? And then we're going to go back in order.
Irene.
Okay. Let me get Joanne on the phone.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, T.
Hi,
T.
Susi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Good to see you all.
Dorothy. Oh, my goodness.
Hi, Dorothy.
You know
Hi,
what?
Mimi.
Hi, Lou.
Hi, Mimi.
Hi.
Shirley.
Before we go any further, when Joanne comes on the phone, I want her possibly or someone to lead us in an Our Father. Okay? And then,
The Lord's Prayer, basically.
or the Lord, you know, in any.
Why doesn't Chris lead us?
Or actually,
Yeah.
I think Chris should lead us in our Father.
Chris,
Yeah.
did you want to
Oh,
lead
yeah,
Our
he's-
Father, or did you want to lead the other prayer?
He's the minister, so.
Let
I'll lead the traditional Our Father, and I can lead
yeah,
the other
okay,
prayer.
good, very good. All right, we're gonna have Joanne on at the same time so she could hear that, all right? Okay. Oh.
Perfect. Oh, now I'm loud. Ugh, now it's loud.
Kelly,
He's a priest, so when he's got anything going, he contacted any, Chris.
They said she was
Wonder
gonna
if he
call
has
me.
anything going. He's a priest, you know.
Joanne, hi, it's Fran. Hi, we have 16, we have like 20 people that are listening to you right now on Zoom. We're listening on Zoom. And if you, after you say some words about Rusty, then stay on with us, and Chris is going to lead us in an Our, Chris DiGiorgio is going to lead us in an Our Father, all of us, okay?
Well, that's fine. Now, what do you want me to say about Rusty?
Anything you want.
From going back, way back?
Anything you
How you
want,
met?
maybe some of the things that you were
How
telling
you met?
earlier. Yeah, how you met.
Okay. All right. This is how I met Rusty. We moved here from the Bronx, and we saw the church that was nearby. And I went there one day, and the woman came to the door, and told me her name was Irene Schindler. And of course, we're still friends to this day. Now, I remember that Rusty, you know, I had belonged to a Catholic church, and the priest in that church, all he would do is read the gospel, and that was it. But once I went there and Rusty was there, what he was doing was he was not only reading it, he was coming in the center of the aisle, he was explaining it. People were able to ask him, you know, what it meant and all that. And I thought that was really wonderful. Are you still there?
That's great. That's exactly what attracted me to the church too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was wonderful. And believe me, from once he started to get sick, I never got over it. It was just, at any rate, what can you do? He's gone, and that's it. But he was a wonderful guy. He had a lot of patience with people. I liked the way that you could ask him questions, because the church I had been to when I lived in the Bronx, I used to live in Pelham Bay, you could never ask the priest anything. They just read the gospel, that was it, and then they left. And then the other thing that I liked was because in this church, we would have coffee hour afterwards. Never had coffee hours in the Catholic Church. And people were able to sit there and talk with each other and ask questions or make, you know, whatever they wanted to say. And they were able to have company. So at any rate, those were all things that I love about St. John's. But mostly I remember Rusty very, very much. Very, very much.
Very good. Thank you so much. Stay with us for the Our Father at least, okay?
I definitely will.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you. All right, Chris DiGiorgio is going to lead us with the Our Father. I think Sally just came in. Sally, Rusty's sister. And I just want to see if she's able to hear me. Sally, can you hear me? No. All right. She's going to have to watch the recording, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. Chris, let me unmute you.
Well, I just
Oh, you
unmuted
did.
myself.
Okay, good.
Okay. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy
Thy
will
will be done
on
on
earth.
earth as it is in heaven. Give us this
day
day
our
our
daily
daily bread.
And
And
forgive
forgive
us
us our trespasses
as
as we forgive those who trespass against us.
And lead
And
us
lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For thine
For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Glad you liked it.
What about Fran?
Okay.
Fran.
1 second. 1 second.
Wait, I got a question.
1 second. All right, Joanne, I'm gonna hang up now, and I'm going to send you a recording of this so you'll be able to watch it at a later date. Okay? All right, great, Joanne. All right, thank you. Absolutely, for sure. Thank you. Bye. Okay, Kelly, you had something?
What about the hour? You don't hear.
Mute everyone.
What about the hour clock?
1 second. Okay, the Our Father that
Mimi did, that Rusty did. He did his own version.
We're going to do that near the end of today. We're going to do, we're going to ask Mimi to do that, and also Chris to do that. And I'm also going to be playing Rusty saying that.
Oh, you have it?
Last service. Let me see if Sally could speak to us. Sally, you're able to talk?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yay.
Very good. Oh, I feel like wow, it's amazing. Thank you. By the way, whatever you missed, you'll be able to hear it in the recording, okay. That I'm going to send you. I'm so glad that you're able to be in with us.
I just tore the house
I'm going
up,
to go
yeah.
quickly through everyone else, and then we're going to get on to the body of it, where people are going to be sharing stories. We had a little, confusion in the beginning and stuff. But anyway, let me pick it up. I'm going to mute you, Sally. I'm going to go to Bob. Oh no, I'm going to go to Candi. We left off with Tammy, and I'm going to go to Corrine and Candi, mother and daughter. If you could please share with us about.
Well, Rusty was not only my priest, he was also my friend, and we traveled all over the country we were this tag sale people. We went from Connecticut to Boston doing those. And I just can't, because we were so close, I just can't go on.
I know.
But I loved him. So my daughter wants to speak.
Well, I kind of almost feel like not enough time in so many words, but I met Rusty at the church. My mother, back then it was only a few of us, and Irene, Joanne, it was a small little crew, but we grew into a very large crew, and now St. John's is living on, and I don't know, I have to tell you, I know Rusty on a personal level too, and he was a funny guy, and I spent a lot of good memories with him, and he'd give me a good little talk sometimes. So
very good. Thank you.
Sally, to you and everybody in the family and extended family. You'll be missed.
I must go out of sequence for a moment. I want to bring Irene Schindler in, because Irene is calling in from bed, actually, close to bed, and she has some pneumonia issues, actually. So so happy that she's able to come in and join us. And Irene, please share with us about Rusty. And by the way, I just want to add this. Irene is going to be 98 at the end of this.
Oh my
Hey.
God, yes.
Wow, Irene, yay!
Yay,
I want to see
Irene.
more of your face, Irene. You want to see?
Well,
more?
it's such a pleasure to see everyone. And I'm not surprised because we all love the person that we are honoring tonight. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, hear you
Yep.
loud and clear.
Voice isn't very good because I had pneumonia recently and complications, so I'm still not myself exactly, but that's not the point. The person we're honoring, our dear Rusty, he came to us when I was a warden, and the first meeting we had after we hired him, there were 2 of us there. I was one of the 2. And then along came Joanne. She said she always wanted to stop at that church, but she never did. Well, we talked her into coming and staying. And so anyway, Rusty had his hands full with a small group, but he got right busy and applied all of his skill and his brilliance to making St. John's into a very fine parish. He taught us many things: how to raise money, how to survive, how to do tag sales, and we all enjoyed his sermons so much because they involved the audience. We could ask questions, we could discuss matters, and that was a very interesting point too. Rusty is a person that we will always remember for all the wonderful things he did and for the person he was. I want to wish Anthony my best thoughts, and his sister Sally. I also want to say that I have not met you, but I'm so happy you were able to be in with our group tonight. Rest in peace, dear Rusty.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Please stay with us as long as you can, or as long as you want to. Bob Miranti.
Yeah, hi. I'm from New Rochelle. I met Rusty at Chris's house, and yes, I do remember the glass of scotch. And I attended many of the dinners that Rusty and Anthony had, both at this house and also the fundraisers and the tag sales. And he was an amazing source of energy and humor and spirituality that it's very rare, and he will really be missed.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much for coming in. Dorothy.
Hi everybody. Let's see, I met Rusty in 2007. Very hard time in my life. My prior husband was very ill. He was going to pass away. We knew it. He was in hospice, and I wanted to place to have his memorial. I didn't want a funeral home, and I know he never wanted that. And someone suggested St. John's, and from the minute I walked in there, Rusty and Eric and Irene, I met you there, Irene. I just felt such a welcoming, happy feeling, like just, lifted me up. So we had a wonderful service with Eric playing the piano, and Rusty was actually on vacation then. But when he came back, I started going to the church, and I just found all the parishioners so welcoming, the whole place that way. So I came back. I loved Rusty. He just was the most interesting, multifaceted person, and just always so much fun to be around. You're working, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like a lot of fun, I miss him. I miss him from the day he left St. John's. I think I started mourning him. It was such a big loss in my life. But that's that.
Lou, would you like to say something, Lou?
Yes. To me, Rusty was an original. I came to the church because of Dorothy, but I stayed because of Rusty and the community. And also for me, it was my first time to be back in church in over 50 years.
Wow.
So he was an original and a unique person. And as Dorothy said, we both missed him once he left the church and retired.
Hello, Allison. For those of the people on the call that may not know, you're Debbie's daughter. Debbie is one of Rusty's sisters. And I don't think we've ever met, but welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the call. And it must be warm for you to hear these comments about your uncle.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. Yes, my mom is Debbie, and then my brother is the iPhone one down there. And then my sister is Beth, the reader, so you can't see her. But yeah, we grew up seeing my uncle quite a bit, especially at the holidays, and unfortunately didn't see him quite as much as we got older because we were all spread out. I'm in Alabama right now. One of probably the smartest people that I knew, and he'll definitely be missed a lot.
Thank you very much, Allison. Kyle Carter.
Hi, everybody. I just want to pay my condolences to Rusty's family for the loss. He was definitely somebody I really very got close to. The first time I was introduced to him was back in 1992, where I directed a play called On the Town, and that's how I first met him. And this is before I ever heard of him being with St. John's. But it was community theater where I first met him.
Wow.
And,
that's great.
And I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to tell you about the whole story later.
Yes.
But yeah, because later on, after On the Town, I was doing a lot of theater, and then I saw him again in 2008 when I was looking for a church, somewhere to go to that had an LGBT foundation, very gay friendly. And then when I saw him, and I saw St. John's online, and I saw his picture, and I recognized the name, and that was 16. That was in 2000. So in 2008, I went over there. He recognized me right away. I didn't think he would. And that was 16 years later. I'll get.
And you started singing together, right? Again.
Yes. I'll talk more about that later.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna welcome in. I think Mimi, are you trying to touch it? No. I'm trying to unmute you, Mimi.
Oh, I can unmute.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Is it my turn?
Yes, your turn.
I sang in that musical, Kyle, in On the Town in 1992. I met Rusty in 1991. I was singing at St. Andrew's where he was the priest. He didn't know me from Adam, but Priscilla brought me in. I don't know, those of you who remember Priscilla, I tried to invite her to this, but I guess she didn't make it. And I was supposed to sing, and I had my 3.5-year-old son with me. And he said something about baptizing an infant, and I said, "Oh, will you baptize me?" I don't know where that came from because I was raised atheist. And he said, "Yeah." So I was baptized that night as I sang for the Easter Vigil. And then I sang the next morning as well. And about 6 months later, my son said, "I want to be baptized too, Mommy." So we went to Rusty and asked him. And he said, "Well, pick godparents." So my son picked Rusty as his godfather. and got baptized also at Easter Vigil, but a year later, so he was 4.5. And I didn't tell my then husband about it because he was also an atheist. And we get home, we're on our way home, and my little 4.5-year-old is dressed in his suit, and he says, I say, do you want to tell Daddy you were baptized, or do you want me to? And he said, I'll handle it, Mom. He walks in, and his dad's sitting at the piano playing, and he goes up to him completely deadpan, says,
And he's 4.5, right? He's 4.5.
He was 4.5.
He's 4.5.
Bad news, Dad. I was baptized. So at any rate, because of that relationship, we went to Rusty's and Anthony, eventually Anthony's, pretty much every New Year's Eve for his New Year's Eve party. And in 1999, I said to him, I still didn't attend church. I said, I'm feeling spiritually depleted. And he said, well, come to St. John's. I do a healing service the first Sunday of every month. And I went and just never stopped until I left New York in 2012. And I have to say that there were so many stories I could tell about my experiences with him. But the most important to me personally right now is that I wouldn't be who I am or where I am without his love and nurturing and belief in me. He encouraged me to sing all the time. I really got to sing a lot at St. John's, and I loved it. And it was just a wonderful experience. But I also became an interfaith minister as a result of him giving me permission to embrace my spirituality, which was something that in my home growing up didn't exist. In fact, I was told I was full of, and you can fill in the blank for having spiritual experiences when I go home to try to share them. So I am who I am. Because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And we sang a lot together. And I was only in his one musical, which was On the Town. And I had a 1-second part where I walked out on stage and I played the singing teacher and I sang maybe 40 seconds and then left. And I'd have to just drive there just in time to walk on stage, sing it, and then I could leave. So,
but we all remember you singing with Rusty the song For Good from Wicked, the musical, and how powerful that was. We all remember that. And in fact, we're going to be playing not that particular, your singing with Rusty, but we're going to be playing the whole choir singing with Rusty. I have the video. We're going to play it a little bit later. And it calls back when you and Rusty sang that together. Kai, please say some few things. I haven't seen you in so many years.
You're not muted, yes.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I'm Mimi's partner. And I met Rusty through Mimi, of course. And for me, Rusty, I think to a lot of people, he was like a father figure, a mentor. When he sang, he had such heart and soul that just really just spoke right to you. And I think he was a pioneer, I think, in terms of spirituality for the LGBT community. And I loved going to his house for the dinners, for the cookbook recipes. And I was fortunate enough to visit him in Delaware one time at the beach, where I was riding the waves and smashed my face into the sand from a big wave. But and also very important was that he, of the handful of boyfriends that Mimi had, I was the first one he gave his approval to. So you can see
Thanks a lot, Patrick. Yeah, it showed too. Thanks. Thank you both for being on. And thanks so much for helping put this whole thing together too, you know. All right. Deborah, I don't think we've met. I'm trying to unmute you right now. It's not, oh, there we go. Let me just, before you start, I'm just picking up, this is Peggy calling in. Yes, Peggy? Oh, why? Oh, here you go. Right, admit. You were in the waiting room. Here you go. You're going to come in now. All right, thank you. Okay. I feel like a multitasker here. All right, is it Deborah or Deb or Debbie?
Debbie's fine.
Debbie's fine? Good.
Yeah.
Hi, Debbie.
Yeah.
So you're Rusty's sister.
Yeah, I've known Rusty probably longer than anybody else. So I'm his older sister.
Right.
We're just delighted to be able to participate with you this evening. We have a few stories, I think, to tell about times that you probably didn't know Rusty. I'm just here. Matt, Beth, and Allie are scattered throughout the screen here. So again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here.
Great, and we look forward to hearing those stories. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Deb. Thank you very much for coming. And Shirley is not Pete. You know, she shows up as Pete on the screen because Pete is her wonderful husband.
Oh, that's our.
And I'm trying to unmute, and I
Len.
don't know why it's not.
Don't. Yes, no. Don't look. They can hear you.
Shirley, I'm going to have to come back to you. It's not unmute. Oh, Shirley, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
There you go.
There you go. All right, here we go.
I was going to say, Debbie and Sally have us beat, but we met Rusty when he was 23, and we were around 33 because we had this running joke about 10 years difference in our ages. But we met him when he was a seminarian at St. Michael's in Manhattan. He's part of our family. It's just very hard for me to even describe the role he played in our whole family with marriages and memorials and baptisms, and he's one of our daughter's godfathers, and he just was part of our family and someone who we sort of grew up with. I mean, we all grew up together as adults in many ways, and you know, the different places that he went and that we went, we always managed to connect and see each other. And as soon as we moved back to New York after we'd been exiled in Philadelphia, that's what it felt like to us, because we're native New Yorkers and wanted to always live back in New York. And as soon as we got back here, we started going to St. John's because that's where Rusty was pastor. And, you know, it's just been a lifelong in our adult life relationship that has meant a great deal to us, and we love him dearly. And I feel he loved us dearly too, so.
Great, and give our best to Pete too, because I know.
Yes,
Pete
he's listening.
Yes, okay. You know, before we go to Kelly, I want to go ahead to David, JD, because I got a message from Kyle that maybe you need to go, JD.
Yes, you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Yeah,
Hi, how are you?
But I would say, as far as knowing Rusty, I'm third in line because I'm his younger brother. It's good to see my sisters, my nieces and nephews. I read my brother's obituary today, and I was really shocked because I didn't really know him that well. My brother and I have been at odds for many years, and I just never really knew the person he was. And if I regret anything in my life, it's that he and I spent so many years angry at each other for what? I don't really know. But I'm honored that he's my brother. It's really good to be here with everybody. I'm just thankful that I got to write him a letter right before he passed, and Anthony read it to him, so hopefully he heard. I just wanted to share that. It's amazing that you're in the family with somebody that you don't even know. I had no clue. You know, I'm just sorry. It's just hitting me really hard today. But I just want to say hi to everybody and thank you for inviting me.
JD,
thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for sharing. We're so happy to have you in this call, and what you just did, sharing with, in fact, strangers, is amazing. And for sure, Rusty is in some way hearing this, and it will go a long way to help you heal for the rest of your life. I had, with my own brother, issues that kept us apart. On the surface, we were, okay together, but there was a lot of deep stuff that didn't get solved until 2 months before he died. And it got solved in some very unusual way. Not solved, but I regretted many of those years, as you might regret. And they eat me up, but I could tell you over time, my brother's been dead like 14 years now. I know he doesn't want me to regret or be hurting. Just like I know Rusty doesn't want you to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't, but continue to share how you feel about him and what you went through, because there are many brothers and many sisters out there, siblings, who don't have as wonderful a relationship as they should be having. So your sharing that helps them along.
It's amazing how time flies so fast and you never know when things are going to end.
That's right.
And I just wish when my sister told me how bad off he was, I had written a letter, but I hadn't sent it for some reason until I forwarded it to her the day before he passed. And Anthony got to read it to him. So hopefully he did hear.
Wonderful.
I wanted to make peace.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
JD, for sharing. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not seeing your name on the screen.
Oh yeah, it's Matt.
Hi, Matt. Hi.
That's Dave. Uncle Dave. That's Uncle Dave, Aunt Sally, and Debbie is my mother. So I, of course, met Uncle Rusty in 1976. I was just a baby though, so I don't really have much recollection there. But he was my godfather, and just remember a lot of holidays with him, and he would always give the most interesting gifts. They always had some meaning behind them, but we would always get something very interesting every year from Uncle Rusty. And just want to thank everyone. Fran, thank you for putting this together, and thank you for everyone that's come out and shared your thoughts and your, everything that he's meant to you. And just I appreciate everyone being here and in such a crazy kind of time in the world. So thanks again, and just I'm looking forward to the rest of the service here.
Thank you very much, Matt, for being part of it. Peggy and Kathy.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Will you say a bit about how you met Rusty, and then we're going to talk later with deeper and longer stories too.
Right. We met Rusty through the loft when Kathy was on the board of directors, and she was very impressed by him because there was a dispute going on. You should speak up, Kathy. Tell her what happened.
He was a what do you call it, a mediator. And
Kathy, we want to see your face a little more.
All right.
More into the.
Rusty was a great guy. We loved him. He supported us with our homeless teenagers and helped raise money and always had the best parties. Rusty knew how to throw a great party. I don't know who made it to his Christmas parties at his house.
Oh, yeah.
With the dogs, and I remember the dog jumped up and ate all the hors d'oeuvres. But it didn't matter because he had a lot of wine and a lot of music, and he really had a great party. He knew how to throw a great party.
Very good. Thank you, Peggy and Kathy. And I look like I passed. I don't know why I skipped out of turn or when I went to JD, but Kelly's here. My daughter Kelly. Hold on, Kelly. I want to unmute you.
I muted myself. It's okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all that I know and all that I don't know. Thanks to have Rusty's family here. It's a blessing. I joined St. John's like 12 years ago. My dad was there a year before me. I was kind of just coming as a guest. I lived across the street from St. John's for all my life, 36 years. and I was going to Catholic church, never thinking of going to that church. That little, it's not it's big in spirit, but the small church on the hill, we call it, the white small church on the hill. I never thought of going there. And then I used to see the signs with the sayings on them. And the signs drew my father in. Then my father started doing video at the church and then wanted me to take over several times to do the video. And my father tells a story when Rusty, hold on, I'm on the phone, Arturo. I don't care. Sorry, everyone.
Reality of life.
Anyway, my father tells a story of when Rusty one service passed out index cards and you wrote down your talent, and he was going to use your talent some way within the church. However talent you had, he was going to make you use that. And it was a good thing. And my father's talent was videography, and he videotaped many services. My talent was performing and singing. So he said, why don't you join the choir? And I wasn't even really a member. I was just coming as a guest. And so I joined the choir, and I'm still in the choir. And being in the choir has gotten me to go to church every single Sunday. And I also remember one thing. He was many, many things. He was also an auctioneer. I don't know if a lot of you knew that. And I used to own a gift and consignment shop, and I had events there. And I had an auction, and I thought I could run it, but no one could run it like Rusty. So I asked him, would you come to my store and run it? And he ran the auction at my store, and it was a great time. So I have a lot of memories, and good to see you all.
Thank you, Kelly.
That's good.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you? Hi, Shirley.
Hi, Susie.
Good to see you. Dorothy, Lou.
Hi, Susie.
Irene, Joanne that hung up, Fran, Kelly, Kyle. Oh my goodness. You know, I actually didn't come prepared to say anything to all of you. I've lost a huge hole.
Yeah.
There is a huge hole in my life. Losing Peter a few weeks ago, and then to Rusty. But I will tell you that I did talk to him. Tammy called me one night, and she said, you know, Rusty said he wants to talk to you, and I called him. And then I called him several times after that, and we would just talk. And he would say to me, Susie, thank you for talking to me. Your voice is just so soothing, and it just helps me. I don't know how much I helped him at the end, but somehow it helped me as well. We go back. I started early in the church in 2003, certainly not as early as some of you did. He married my daughter. He was a very important person in our lives. And he used to say to me, I can't believe you came into the church all by yourself, walked in, suffered through coffee hour, and made it. And Joanne helped me do that. And Corrine helped me do that. And Irene helped me do that right at the beginning. And there weren't very many of us there in those days. I do miss the church. I haven't been there for a while. I felt like I've had so many other things to do. And I will think going forward about where I belong. But Rusty changed my life, and as well as he touched and changed everybody else. And that's what people do. And that's what will give me comfort. So thank you. And hello to everyone that I haven't seen. And a big hug to those that I can't give a hug to. And I know we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you. I want to just take this little break before Sally goes to, this photo that I've sent out is actually a photo that Jenny Talley, the current priest at St. John, sent out with her newsletter with a very beautiful write-up about Rusty and the effect that he had. I don't think they ever really met, but I think she got to understand the big effect that he had on us and building that community. So this is a photo that, can you see that okay? Does that show up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful photo of him. And that we're going to show, you know, some video and other things. And so now Now we're going to hear from Sally, Rusty's sister, other sister.
I've just prepared a little something to read. Is that what you
Oh,
like?
that's great. That's great.
Okay. And my husband Gerry is here, and he's going to show you some pictures while I read, because they kind of go along with
Great. Very good.
Rusty's story here. So, and if I cry, then I'm going to make him read it. Rusty was a great brother. With him as a youngster. Can you see it?
Yes.
He's my older brother by 2 years. There are so many things I've forgotten, but I'll share some of the snapshots in time that I do remember. Rusty was always different. Let's say more studious than the average kid, and he was often teased by neighborhood bullies because he was different. Fortunately, he was very well accepted by his more academic and creative friends and excelled in school, music, and theater. As a young teen, he worked in the school office and was an exchange student at least 1 year. I'm not sure, it could have been 2, but at least 1 year in South America. For me, being 2 years behind him in school was a great advantage. Teachers would see my last name and say, "Oh, you must be Rusty's sister." Thank you, Rusty. Get another picture here. Here you go. This is his high school photo.
That's great.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Here's the one I'm going to show you. Let me see. If you can see. Oh gosh, it's really hard for.
Can't see it.
It looks the same.
Back on it. It's a picture of Rusty at Christmas time when he was 8. Unfortunately, we can't get it to look right here, but.
Okay.
There's a football sitting in front of him, and I said I never noticed this before today, but it looks like he got a football for Christmas that year. What's funny about that is Rusty was so accident prone, he wasn't even allowed to take gym class in high school. And I don't remember him ever throwing a football.
Right.
Among his greatest qualities, he was an entrepreneur and born leader. And I think Debbie's going to tell you something about his venture when he was a kid, but I'll leave that for Debbie. But one of the things he did was sell candles. Our neighbors next door had connections in Hawaii, and he liked just to talk to people, and so he was a pretty good salesman. He sold candles for them and made a little bit of money. And every summer he held a carnival in our backyard for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and there would be games and food and prizes, and one year we even had a fortune teller and a miniature golf setup. He had no problem getting family and friends to donate and work the various tables and games. Another of his great strengths was his ability to include and involve people. As we were growing up, he always invited me to be part of whatever he was doing. I remember sitting on the piano bench together, singing songs from South Pacific as he played the piano. One summer, this is a picture from when we were like much older. On his head. But it's nice to see him smiling.
Yeah.
One summer we had a fix-it club that we set up in our basement. It was me, Rusty, and a few of our neighbors. Of course, Rusty was the boss, and we all had our own desks and little pretend offices. I don't remember ever really fixing anything, but it felt important and we were all on board. So having met and talked with some of Rusty's friends, that practice of including people continued throughout his life. I refer to him as the Pied Piper because he had a way of drawing people in, delegating, and making everyone feel like they were whatever he was doing. He was patient, kind, and caring. He loved his dogs. He had a gentle manner and soft gray eyes full of compassion. He was a good listener and was always available to talk when I needed to. I already miss him. I want to thank Fran for putting the Zoom memorial together, and thank everyone who's participating for being here, and thank all of Rusty's friends who have shared their what Rusty meant to me stories with me. I've heard this phrase over and over about Rusty. Because I knew you, I was changed for the good. That's it.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you. As I mentioned before, we're going to actually hear your brother singing that song with the choir. It's astounding. I think I want to say something, and thank you for having the effect on your brother, you, your sister, your other brother, your children, because we're all the result of everyone else's effect on us.
Right.
So thank you for giving us Rusty. Thank everyone for the role that we played in forming Rusty, as well as Rusty forming us. T, hi.
Hi,
Good to see you.
good to see you too.
You already shared something about Rusty.
Well, you just asked me how I met him, but I didn't get to share any stories. But I think you forgot to. Yvette and Karen are here. They
Yes,
didn't-
right. It's an odd order here, right? I got Yvette and Karen, right? Great. Hi, Yvette. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
Hi.
Great.
Are we unmuted?
You're unmuted now. Yes.
Okay, hi.
Hi. Do you want to
Oh,
share how you met Rusty? Either
Oh,
of you
yeah.
or both of you?
We met Rusty at a party at Al Basilico's house.
Okay.
So
What was
it's
your-
and we would see him around. Whoops.
Whoa, what happened? What happened to that?
We would always see him around, like he used to play piano at Rosie's, which is a great restaurant that no longer exists in White Plains.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would hang out there sometimes, and then it just grew from there.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yvette, did you want to say anything? I mean, Karen?
You could call me whatever. We were very, very fortunate to just be like friends.
I'm not hearing you that clearly. Are you closer to?
I have a thing with this machine.
Oh, good.
It never hears me.
Okay.
We would go to Fire Island with them sometimes. So we had a lot of quiet downtime to just talk,
Okay.
which was great and fun. We have so much stuff here because I could not resist the tag sales or the antique shop. He was a magnificent, talented, beautiful person, a wonderful friend, and I feel very blessed and fortunate that we got to do readings at Anthony and Rusty's wedding. I will never forget him because he was just such an incredible dude. I mean, even here in Westchester County, he helped start Food Patch, a food pantry for the area, which God knows we need now. He was always thinking that way. Bigger picture, bigger community, bringing more people in. So we just want to say and give our condolences to everyone, his sweet family, sweet friends, and I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful. And I know he's okay now.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Karen. Thank you. Sally, I want to ask you, is that your husband with you?
Yeah, this is Gerry.
Gary?
Gerry, yes.
Hi, Gary.
Gary.
Gary, did you want to share something?
Hello, Gerry.
Jerry, did you want to share anything?
Rusty was just a very kind person. And we didn't see him very often because he was so busy. But it was always a good time to see him and enjoy his company and have a drink with him. He's a good guy. And We'll miss him deeply.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gary. There's family stuff going on in the background. All right, I'm gonna, I think the next person, do I have this right? Because Matt, you went already, right? Is Brandy Baker, a friend of Kelly and a friend of Rusty's. Hi, Brandy, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
You came to St. John's for several of the events, I remember.
Yeah.
Did you want to say anything about Rusty?
That he welcomed he welcomed me in the church, and he was very, very, very nice and sweet. And I miss him. And I also posted the pictures today that Kelly sent me of you and him.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. And Ruth, we've heard from you before. You're in another area of your house, right? Ruth?
I put the light on.
Oh, you put the light on. Okay, the light.
Right.
All
That's
right.
helpful.
All right. And
Hi.
Beth.
Hi, David.
Hi, Beth. I don't have a mute or unmute button. Do you hear me okay?
Yes. Yep.
And,
Can you hear me?
hear you fine. Good.
Yeah. So I'm Beth. My mom is Debbie, and Rusty was my uncle. And I guess what sticks with me the most now is that he once said to me, I must have been 13 or 14, Beth, everyone dies, but not everyone lives. And I guess that's always just stuck with me. And I really appreciate you inviting us to celebrate his life tonight.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because he really lived.
Yeah,
know?
sure did.
And he continues to live, I think, in everyone's hearts anyway.
Definitely.
Thanks so much for coming in, Beth.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And I think we've gone through each Chris and I are going to be alternating sharing some stuff. I want to share, I want to just kick it off with something that, because I haven't really, I thought I had it here.
Hey, Fran.
Actually, I'm going
to. Why don't you show the photo montage? We were supposed to do that at the beginning.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to show that right after I read this.
Okay.
Okay. Kelly, my daughter Kelly prepared a slideshow that was shown at Rusty's retirement dinner on June 30th, 2013 at the Davenport Beach Club in New Rochelle. There were about 120 people in the room, and I have that video. I have the whole event. One second, Kelly. I have the whole event, but I'm just going to show a little piece of it, of Rusty. But that's not what you were talking about, Chris, right? Showing that, and at that, there was a slideshow that was shown of Kelly put together of photos from throughout Rusty's life. You want to say something, Kelly?
Yeah, it wasn't just photos of Rusty. It has Rusty. Well, it has him when he got married and when he was younger and acting. But it's also a celebration of St. John's and all the people. So there's photos of a lot of us in there too. Of all photos, all photos of us in there that I had made that he.
Very good. So I'm going to show that in a minute. I just want to share. This is a poem that that Joanne Bartoli, who you heard from before, gave me the reference of it. I heard it at other funerals. You probably have heard it before, may have heard it before. I find it to be very uplifting and very helpful.
That one I can.
Yeah.
And it's, can everyone hear okay?
Yeah.
Can hear it. Okay. It's called Death is Nothing at All by a poet, Henry Scott Holland. It was delivered at a sermon in 1910. So it's over 100 years old. And I found it very uplifting at my mother's funeral, and I've read it at 7 or 8 funeral masses since then, always feeling uplifted by it. It's written from the perspective of the person who died. So this is as if Rusty is reading this. And it's kind of, I think it's consistent with his personality. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way you always used to. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we always enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effort, without the ghost of a shadow in it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute unbroken continuity. What is death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind? Because I am out of sight? I am waiting for you for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is past. Nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. I feel his continued presence. Rusty was a big influence on my part. And here is the slideshow. I hope I bring this up okay. Let me go. Let's see. All right. I gotta move this. Okay, maybe this is it here. Okay, here it is. No, it's not. Is it?
No, this one says slideshow. This one right here.
Which one, Kelly?
The last one. See, it says slideshow.
Okay. Good, very good. Okay.
Here we go.
This is the only additional insert we made was this beginning photo. And hopefully, does it show? Just maybe raise your hand. Is it in the middle of the screen? Can you see it well? Okay. All right, this is the, you can hear it okay, right?
Don't keep moving it.
Trying to get this out of the way.
Just leave it. Pull it up a little.
Okay. Anyone want to say anything about those photos? Let me uncheck.
That was beautiful. The whole footage. That was great.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Sure
Beautiful.
was.
Brought back a lot of memories.
Let me.
It sure does. You have that right.
And not only doing it for Rusty, we also have it for ourselves because my father thought I didn't have it, but I had it on the computer.
Well, he signed
What's
off
the
too,
sound?
actually.
I had it on the computer, and now it's all for us to have forever.
That you had it, Kelly.
Right.
Really do.
And by the way, but many of you already know this, but I'm going to mute everyone again.
Just micro.
Many of you know this already, but I used to take, I mean, we have lots of video. I used to take video of every service for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years of every service, the full service. So, and if you go on YouTube and type in Rusty Hesse and maybe my name, also Fran Sisco, or St. John's Episcopal Church, you'll get all these videos, and I have them numbered so that if you're looking at an event, like say some of the events that showed up on that photo slideshow where we were dressed in like 1930s garb, you know, there was probably 20 videos about that event, numbered 1 through 20. So you could like relive the whole of, if you wanted to. So that's, those videos are all available. There was also a DVD that Shirley has, many other people have, of Rob Seitz, I think, instigated the idea, and maybe Chris DiGiorgio too, of interviewing different people like we're talking about Rusty here, and we recorded it about 15 years ago. And we have a DVD that includes that and a number of other, and I believe there are others of other DVDs available. I tried to find mine the last few days. I haven't been able to find it yet, but I think I have the original videos. Chris, what I would like to do is I would like to play the song with Rusty singing with the choir as a way to bring Rusty voice in this now. Would that be an all right thing to do? Okay. All right, let's do that. And just bear with me if it takes me a moment or so to bring up the video. This is a part of a video we're going to play a little later. I think you're going to really like that part. This is the song For Good. Now this is I'm going to let Mimi introduce the discussion of this song, because this was a follow-up to what Mimi sang with Rusty at a prior years before that. And I wanted to, let me just get to Mimi, and I'm going to unmute Mimi. Hold on a moment.
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, great. Mimi, say about your going to the musical and stuff.
So Rusty and Anthony and Lisa, their daughter, and Ariana, my daughter, and I went to see Wicked together at their instigation. And I didn't know anything about it, and I really couldn't afford to go to musicals at the time, but we went. And there was a point in the middle of the musical where Elphaba, if you know the story, she's the green one. She becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. She sings a song called I'm Not That Girl, in which she's realizing that Glinda, the good witch, is getting the guy, and she's really in love with the guy, and she's not that girl. And Rusty whispered to me in the middle, just after that ended, "That's your song." And then Defying Gravity came along, and at first I thought, yeah, because I really had rotten relationships with men up to that point. And Defying Gravity came along, and I turned back to him and I said, no, that's my song. But For Good is at the end of the musical when the two witches are together and they recognize that no matter what their differences have been, that they've changed each other for good.
That's beautiful. And this is, some might say I have been changed for the better, like as if you're not necessarily changed for the better, but I've been changed for good. For good meaning for better, but also permanently, I think. But here is, I'm going to play, it's 5 minutes long. It's worth it. There's a little confusion in the beginning, not confusion, but.
And I agree, Fran, it's both meanings.
Both meanings, right? Okay, great. And that is what absolutely Rusty had the effect for better and permanently. Here it is.
I heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. Maybe something we must learn when we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. That's a passage of sun. Like sweet love needs a wonder halfway through the world. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? Because I knew you. I have been changed for good. Well, maybe that we meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is new. I learned you'll be with me, like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have been mine by being my friend. Like a ship no from exploring by a wind of the storm, like a sea drop by a skybird in a distant world. Can say if I would change for the better, because I knew you. Because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to feel the air, I ask forgiveness on the things I got to blame. But then I guess we know the flame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. On a street that leads to Boulder, you can say if I've been changed for the better. I do believe I have been changed for the better. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed.
It's too hard to watch.
Please, but they can see us.
It's too hard to watch.
Yeah.
Frank, can you want to share your screen?
Yeah, let me, I have to stop the share, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. I don't know. I think it, new share, stop share. Here we go. Okay. Wow. You know, if, just in case, we all heard, I'm sure, I'm gonna move this again. A couple of the verses that I missed when I heard it the first time, just a couple of the verses. We all know that, we all hear the chorus, but like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood, like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a bird in the wood. Who could say if I've been changed for better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. And because I knew you, I have been changed for good. For sure, he changed us a lot. And what I take away also from it is that we also have affected each other, and we should celebrate more of that. And Rusty could be a symbol of that, that we could continue enriching each other. Okay, let's see what we're gonna do.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, yes, Chris.
Let's have other people share their longer stories now.
Yes, good.
Whoever, let's mute everybody, and if somebody can just raise their hand if they'd like to share a story.
Very good. Excellent.
So who would like to share? Can you raise your hand? T has something to share. T, can you unmute?
Can you hear me all?
Yes.
You see Rusty standing behind me. That's a picture of him when Tammy, myself, and Mike saw him the first time we went to visit him. He's behind me, and he has my back. Rusty came into my life when I really needed to be saved. I was hurting at the time. My relationship had ended, and I was pretty lost. And when he invited me to church, and I said to him, I said, "Church, Rusty, I haven't been to church in years." He said, "Come to my church, T." I said, "Oh, all right." So I went with two friends. And the first day I walked into that church, the first thing I saw was the Good Shepherd on the altar holding the lamb. And I was so impressed by that. The next week I came back and he said, wow, he said, that was surprising that you came back. I said, why, Rusty? He said, you came back all by yourself. Like Susie said, that's how moved I was. And Rusty took this lost little lamb and put him on his shoulders and carried me home. And Rusty always made me feel that I was important. I felt very terrible about myself because my partner had left. And Rusty said, T, you've got everything you need to be okay. And you're going to be okay. And you're going to be fine. And I was lucky enough when I moved here, I used to see Rusty all the time. How lucky am I? And I'm still lucky because he's all around here and I live on the church grounds and he'll never leave me. And how many times we had conversations, or he'd pass by the window, he'd hear me crying and he'd say, what's the matter, T? And, you know, we'd talk or whatever. And he was just so much to me. He saved me. And like Mimi said, I am the person I am today because of Rusty. I didn't think I was going to make it. And he's like, T, you're going to make it. You're going to be fine. So there was so many, I could talk for volumes about Rusty, but you all know. And I just want to share some funny things too. But one thing that really sits into my heart, I'd see Rusty on a regular basis and we'd talk. I'd run into the office. I'd say hello. I'd catch him outside. And one day he seemed very sad. And I said, Rusty, are you okay? He said, you know, T, he said, being a priest, he said, I listen to everyone. So I said, Rusty, what's the matter? He poured his heart out to me. And we laughed and we cried. And I felt so privileged and special that he was able to share his feelings with me and to vent. And he, you know, I gave him a hug and he just felt so good because I know all the burdens that he carried for everybody. And he was there for everybody, not just me. And again, I could go on and on and on, but I want to share one very funny story. So I'll give everybody else a chance to talk. But when I first moved in here, I had a problem in my bedroom with no heat. So I called Rusty. And here comes Rusty in his sandals with his white socks and his shoes and his Hawaiian shirt. And he comes with a wrench and he sits on my bedroom floor and he's tightening the radiator. I said, Rusty, you want a drink? He said, yeah, what do you got, T? I don't remember what we were drinking, if it was wine or whatever. And I said, look at this. This is my priest on the floor. I said, what a priest. This is a great guy. And he was just more than a priest. He was a guru. He was a teacher. He was a mentor. He was a brother. He was a sister. And then he pulls out a package of tarot cards. So the two of us are sitting on my bedroom floor at 12 o'clock at night, drinking and doing tarot cards and laughing and just laughing and talking stories and whatever. And again, I could go on forever, but thank God I got to see him again when I went down with Tammy. And again, I was able to tell him what he meant to me, what he did for me. And I know he knew that, but I was just glad that I was able to tell him. Hey, he's gone, but not really. And being at the church and living here, he's all around here. And I told him, I said, Rusty, when I'm in the church, cleaning the church in those quiet moments, you're there. And he's never going to leave. And I definitely have been changed for good. I love him. I miss him. But he'll never leave us. And he's never going to leave me. I could go on, guys, but you have
Thank you.
Time to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, T.
Welcome.
Tammy, do you want to share something?
Well, I wasn't raising my hand, but sure. I
felt you were raising your hand.
No, that's okay. That's good you did. Sue Trinosky doesn't have a computer. She wishes she could be here tonight. She sends her love to everyone. And when I reached out to her and said we were getting together tonight, I said, if there's anything that you would like me to share on your behalf, please send it to me or let me know. So I would like to share, if I can, what Sue sent. She said she wanted to try to think of a way to encapsulate Rusty, but that's impossible. She felt it would just take up too much time, and we all know that's true. So this is what she came up with. Rusty in a nutshell. Part priest, part P.T. Barnum, Renaissance man, visionary, disruptor, gatherer of people, author, scholar, actor, master chef, teacher, healer, friend, pure love. And she said that she picked that out of like 1,000 different words
Beautiful.
to describe him. And that she loves him and always has and always will.
Beautiful. Thank you. Tammy, I know you were very close. You and your husband, Mike, and family were very close with Rusty. And I know you sorely miss him.
Yes.
You're reading that from Sue. By the way, I did contact Sue to ask her if she wanted to call in. We could have done something similar, but
I know. She has a laryngitis, right, from the pollen.
Okay. Well, let her know, or someone will let her know that we'll have this recording that she could watch.
I did tell her. Yeah.
And I want to share this. Someone who couldn't be on the call, I said I would read it, and he said that would be fine. This is from Mayor Bramson, Noam Bramson, who has been at our church several times, knew Rusty, and Noam said, Fran, I have not heard about Rusty's, because I contacted him to find out if he heard that Rusty passed away and if he wanted to join this call. He said, I had not heard about Rusty's passing, and I'm so very sorry to receive the news. Although I did not know him well, even a superficial connection was enough to perceive his kindness, his warmth, and largeness of spirit. I know he will be greatly missed by the St. John's family, and you have my heartfelt condolences. Unfortunately, this Saturday is simply impossible for me, so I will not be able to join the Zoom memorial, but I will be with you in spirit and truly thank you for reaching out. Most sincerely, Noam. And I tried to reach out to Barbara Davis because I know Barbara was a friend of the church. Barbara's the historian of New Rochelle, and he was pretty close with Barbara. I didn't have Barbara's number, but I'll also share this recording with Barbara. And Chris, what would you like to do at this point?
Well, let's continue with some sharing.
Good,
I know
very good. All right, great.
I know Sally had something. And then we
Great. I see Susie's hand.
Susie, go ahead.
I see Susie's hand.
Thank you, Fran.
Yes,
Thank
Susie.
you, Chris. I couldn't possibly steal away. I just needed to say goodbye. There's so many people on the phone or on the video that I have been close to over the years. I am working 24/7, exactly, not necessarily 24, but 7 days to try to maintain our triage for all the COVID cases for our employees for JP Morgan Chase that I'm working on every day. And I have to get up early in the morning. And okay. I want to say good night. And I want to say thank you. It was so enriching. It was so enriching for me to be able to see everybody again, and keeps me going for the things that, you know, I do healthcare. I am healthcare, and, you know, talked to Rusty many times about the things that I do. And I'm just happy to be part of this tonight. And thank you for the energy that this is giving me to go forward. So good night to all my friends. And thank you for this invitation.
Thank you. Thank you, Susie. Thank you so much.
Wait, I want to say something to Susie.
Okay.
Susie, so I know you were also very close to Peter. Sorry about Peter, and sorry for all of us too about Peter. I know he was another one that passed just recently, right before Rusty.
Yes.
Two in a row, I know.
I wanted to say that too. Susie, just check your chat before you hang up.
2 in a row.
Mimi, it was so good to see you and Patrick, and so good to see Dorothy and Lou and T. And I can't even begin to tell you all of the people that have been so nourishing to me tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
I love
Susie.
everyone. I
you.
love everyone. Kisses to all.
Someday in the future, maybe we could put together a huge lobster dinner. Remember
Well, that was the big one.
The real headache that happened. Maybe we could do it in Rusty's
Yes,
honor.
but we overcame all the big headaches.
Yes.
Chris. All the big headaches.
Right.
We overcame. Thank
Right.
you, everyone. I love you.
Good night.
Good night. Who else would like to share a story or? Well, I want to share a quick one. I've been talking a lot tonight, so I don't want to talk too much. But as Kellyanne mentioned, I was drawn to St. John's because of the signs out front. They have these very clever aphorisms, and I think Mamie said that one time she saw. This is Kyle. Oh, he wants to come back in. Hi, Kyle. Okay, thanks for calling. I'll let you in. Oh, and this is Rosemary Rizzo too. Okay, great. Where was I?
About the signs.
About the signs, you know, they were so, and Mimi had said to me that one sign that she saw was that Rusty put up a sign, not all the turkeys are
on the table, yes.
You know?
That was one of the best.
Yeah, there was, you know, he had.
We got to get back to those signs.
When I was drawn to, I was going to Holy Family, a Catholic church. I was pretty involved with them, with the men's group. I was living full-time as a man. But I was drawn, I was cross-dressing, and I was very unclear about my own gender, and I was very confused about that. And I lived like that for many, many years. So I was drawn to St. John's, and I went there, and I walked in a little late. I didn't go to Holy Family that day because I was late, and I was still late for St. John's. It was a 10:30 Mass. I walk in, and it was in the middle of the dialogue.
Hey, Fran, it was 9:30. We used to have 9:30 service.
9:30, okay. It was not so good. I wasn't that late. It was a dialogue sermon. I said to myself, what is this? What's going on? The priest is asking people if they have questions, and everyone's answering, interacting with the priest. I was
the best part.
I was blown away. It interested my intellect a lot, and also my heart and my spirituality, because Rusty had a knack of bringing everyone to other ends of the dogma.
Yep.
You know, and we looked at all gospel according to Mary and James and all of it. Rusty was very, very good like that. And yet at the same time, we all love Christ. So I started going there, and then he probably felt, intuitively, that there was something up with me, that maybe I was trans or gay or something. And married with a child, so I guess he didn't think I was gay. I don't know what he thought. But he kind of let me know that he was open for me to say something to him. Well, it turned out that there was a play that Rusty was going to put on, and there was a part for a female bartender, a moll, who ran the bar. And I asked him, is it all right if I play that part? He says, yeah, go for it. Yeah, you would be good in that part. And so we never did the play. There weren't enough people that auditioned, I guess, and stuff. But so I went to the church dressed as a female. That was like the first night that I think anyone saw me dressed as a female. And I felt a welcoming, because Rusty instilled that in everyone else, to welcome everyone. And everyone there was a very welcoming kind of group anyway. And so for a long time, I went to Holy Family Church as a man on a Saturday, and then to St. John's Church as a female on a Sunday. So I had a usual weekend like that, And he was just
exhausting.
Actually, it opened me up, even though my brother was gay, as maybe JD. I don't know if JD's still on the call, but I was not very open to my own brother being gay. I know I was intellectually, but I really didn't feel it enough. And I got to really understand and love the LGBT community, the LGB part of the LGBT community, through Rusty. He opened me up a lot. So that's my brief story. Who else wants to say anything?
A real quick one, because it has to do with when you showed up for the the auditions that night. And it really exemplifies the kind of welcome that Rusty facilitated and made possible for all of us. He shared with me that he was, that there were some conservative members of the church, and he was concerned about whether, how comfortable they would feel if you showed up dressed the way you showed up that night. And one of those parish members was sitting behind me. And when you walked in, Fran, you looked drop dead gorgeous. I mean, you look better than any of us. I mean, you had on pantyhose and pearls and all, you know, I mean, really outdressed all of us. I turned around to her to see how she would react to seeing you. And she was just sitting there, and she said to me, "Yeah, she's got better looking legs than I do." So that was it. You were welcome. No problem at all.
I saw Debbie have her hand up, Fran, before. Debbie, would you like to share? You're on mute, Debbie.
Yeah, there I go. Yeah, I just had a few stories about Rusty when he was really young. Rusty started out as an entrepreneur and an actor-singer at a very early age. Every year, my uncle owned a big restaurant in downtown Baltimore, and my father had a very large family, and we would all go to his restaurant. And the highlight of the evening would be Rusty stood on the tabletop after we finished eating, and he would lead everyone in a rousing chorus of "I've been working on the railroad," and the bear went over the mountain.
Oh, wow.
So he was performing it at about 3 and 4 years old.
Wow, that's great.
He was also an entrepreneur. When my dad had a good friend who had a farm. It had a lot of chickens. So I'm not really sure how it all evolved, but Rusty decided to sell eggs. So he went around in our entire neighborhood, took orders for eggs from all the neighbors, and every Saturday morning, my dad would go to the farm, come home and bring lots and lots of eggs. Rusty would put them all in cartons. He would take his little red wagon around the entire neighborhood, and there were lots of hills up and down, and he sold eggs to all the neighbors on every Saturday morning. So his entrepreneurship and his acting and singing started at a really young age, and it just seemed like it went on forever. So
and
I have a picture, but I don't think you can see it. I don't know. I can hold it up to the screen. It's really small and black and white. I don't know.
Hold it up closer to your left ear. Hold it up near your left ear.
Is that my left ear?
Your left ear. Put the picture near your left ear.
Bring it back.
Right there?
Yes.
Really tough to see. It's Rusty and Sally when Sally came home from the hospital.
Now just come forward with it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now I see you. Now we see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Black and whites are kind of faded, but yeah.
Right. Very, very cute.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing, Debbie.
Uh-huh.
Who else would like to say something? Chris.
I'll do it.
Oh, Kyle. Kyle, yes, you have well, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, let me tell you. First time I did a little brief thing about Rusty. My first experience with Rusty was when I did on the town in '92. I was when it comes to acting, I was still, I was like a new jack, just starting to learn about acting and theater and staging and things to do and what not to do with that. I was new at it. So one time, I was one of the other actors on the town heard me on the local radio station WVOX, and they asked me if I wanted to be to take part in On the Town, and I said okay. I'd never heard of On the Town really, and her name was Margaret Callery, and that's why I was first introduced to Rusty. He was a director. And I have to say, with the Hartsdale players, the people there were so heartfelt and so warming. And he had the spirit that I have never felt before. Like very, very different. All I thought I thought he was married. I knew he was a minister, and I thought he was. And I saw his wedding ring. I thought he was married to a woman. Oh, he's a married man. Cool. Okay, but and he asked me if I could sing. I said yes, I can, and he wanted me to sing the opening of the opening of the play, and I was so I was so disenchanted that I could not sing that low pitch. It required a very baritone voice to sing that, and I was a tenor. I was always singing higher, so he had me do another. Okay, there's a solo part for you in you're going to be the beauty pageant host for this turnstile. And when he gave me that, he gave me the album of On the Town, listen to it, get an idea about it. And I said, oh wow, okay, I can this I can do. Now, if I could be a radio DJ and I knew I could sing, I could do all this. Then when I was doing theater, I always had multiple roles, like 5 or 6 roles. So you get one particular role, like lead character roles. So that was one of my biggest experiences with I had with him. And I was and I still have the VH. You really can't see it, but this is a video. It's kind of good with the background. It's a video of On the Town, and
hold it up in front of your chest because the
there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, this is actually the VHS of the actual play that we did.
Wow.
Back in '92, and I still have it to this day.
Very nice.
So I really had to really thank him really for opening up, being able to learn how to express myself through stage, through theater. Then after that, I've been through that. I've been taking acting training, and I've been singing here, and I've been singing ever since. Then I lost contact with him until 2008. I was going through, started working for the city, and then there was not much of, I knew about myself as a person, being a gay man, but I did not really pursue it or look into it until probably early 2000s that I actually accepted myself as a gay man. And then after doing there was a lot of soul searching that I was doing until I would say around 2007, I decided I was in Florida with my family, and I decided, I really want to find a church that can be welcoming, not just to the LGBT community, but the kind of things that I'm going through. And I looked on the internet, and I did a Google search list of gay friendly churches, and I came across St. John's, and look who I see. I saw some photos, and look who I see. I saw Rusty's face, and I'm going, wait a minute, I know him. Wait a minute, he's the guy that directed On the Town. So I figured, let me go over there. So I drove out. I took a bus out there to the church. Walked in. I was like walked in, and he recognized me right away. It was like 16 years later after On the Town, but he recognized. The thing was, he recognized me, and I couldn't believe it. He remembered what it was, and once he did that, I knew that this is gonna be the church for me. Somehow, this is the church for me. And I've been there ever since, being part of the choir and doing vestry work for the last 9 years with he introduced me to a lot of things, not just with singing, but also choir, but also inside the church too.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. Another person, has come in the room that we didn't introduce before, because she came in just recently, is Rosemary Rizzo Tolk. And Rosemary, would you like to identify yourself and how you know Rusty? And,
Sure.
and maybe share something
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm here from California. So I just got out of the swimming pool, and so I'm a little on the wet and wild side. But anyway, it was a great experience being part of Rusty's church, because he was so knowledgeable and so engaging. I had never seen a man of the cloth be that way. I mean, I had gone to St. John's University, and the first day the priest in theology class said, whatever you've been told about Jesus Christ, forget it. None of it is true, which was like an eye-opener. But when I went to Rusty's, he made everything real and practical and understanding. I remember one of his lectures about what he thought Christ was like very early on, before he knew anything. He was still doing like mystical tricks and things like that. Everything he said was new, different, and engaging. And the community itself, the St. John's community itself, was a group of wonderful, warm, and friendly people. And it was great. And then, of course, Eric was the choir master. And that church is a very special place. And even without Rusty, it remains a very special place. I've been back a couple of times sitting next to you, Fran. And there's a vibe in that church that I guess Rusty started it, but it continues. And that's a good thing to know, you know, that it's living on.
Very good. Very good, Rosemary.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying that too. And I think Jenny Talley has done a very good job, because she had really huge shoes to fill. And I know my expectation was very, very high, that Rusty set that high, almost unrealistically high that way, you know? So you got to give it up to her and also the other people and the new members of the church. So,
yes,
you know, we got to hand it over to St. John's for doing it.
Absolutely.
And also some of our members have moved on to other places and have taken some of Rusty's spirits. I'd like Chris to talk about that and maybe, and also share a story, but Chris to talk about his own journey that way as well.
Well, I've said there are 6 main spiritual teachers in my life. And if I had to rank them, Rusty would be number 2. Mimi introduced me to number 1. And I wouldn't have found Her Holiness Saima if it wasn't for Mimi. And Mimi and I have been longtime members of St. John's. But what Rusty did for me was, when I originally went to St. John's, I was pretty angry at the Roman Catholic Church. The one thing he said to me that really has rung true for me and allowed me to heal a lot of the anger I had for St. John's, it was the death of Cardinal O'Connor at the time. And I blamed Cardinal O'Connor for me being blasted out of the Roman Catholic Church. And I had a conversation with Rusty at that time, and I expressed my anger, and the words he said was, you know what, Chris, you're here now. You're in the Episcopal Church now. You know, whatever happened there, this is where you're supposed to be. And it was one of my first glimpses of letting go. He just had this grace about him to just say the right words at the right time to help me through. And then, you know, as one of the other things that he always said to us was that we're all biblical scholars. And coming from Roman Catholic background, it was not impressed upon us to feel like you had a place or a say in interpreting scripture. And that opened up a world for me in not allowing people to give you balderdash with regard to their authority. Rusty was a big advocate of we all have authority in figuring out what the Bible means to us. And that gave me, you know, the impetus to really start working in the LGBTQ community with regard to doing the healing work that I did for myself with Rusty's help, with Her Holiness Saima's help. And then it branched me out to become a minister myself. You know, I said to Tammy, I'd say about 2 years before Rusty left, that I didn't feel I was an Episcopalian anymore. You know, through Rusty's teachings, it just became more that I was evolving beyond those teachings. And it became pretty crystal clear, I'd say 6 months before Rusty left. Well, it was actually right after Rusty left. The bishop came, and it was really more of a specific understanding that I really needed to leave the Episcopal Church. But what I want to say about that is Rusty always wanted me and whoever else to spiritually grow. He didn't care that we were in the Episcopal Church anymore. And he, when the last time I saw Rusty was at Mike McGuire's remembrance service. Mike left us, I want to say 2 years ago. And he, you know, when I said to Rusty, hey, I'm going to be a unity minister, he was so happy for me. He said, you finally have done what I thought you would have done many years ago. So he was always supportive of my spiritual growth and the work I was doing, especially in the LGBTQ community. And and I'm truly grateful for him. And I take a lot of my ministry teachings, and I've learned so much from him as how to be a good minister. That's what I'm going to take from him. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I would like to add something that someone who I mentioned earlier, Jenny Talley, I would like to read a paragraph that she wrote in a recent newsletter about Rusty. Now, she didn't really know Rusty, but this is the effect that I think Rusty may have had on even someone who succeeded her. She wrote, in addition to a lot of other information, but larger than life and full of fun, as well as a spiritual mentor to many, Father Hesse had a gift of making church more accessible to those who had been challenged in their lives by the traditional church and made to feel excluded. Brilliant and creative, he left a legacy at St. John's, Wilmot, which includes a tradition of conversational sermons, giant tag sale fundraisers, and a spirit of hospitality where all are welcome. I thought that was a very nice thing that she said and summarized about Rusty. Who else has something to share? Mimi.
So when I was a teenager or a young 20-ish person, I was singing in a small choir in Maine, and we were singing in an I think it was Episcopal, in a church, and they were taking communion. And I turned to somebody, like I said, I grew up atheist and didn't have any church training at all. I managed to always end up at Sunday school when they were doing Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. So I knew that story, but otherwise really very little. And I turned to somebody and I said, what are they doing at communion? And she said, well, you can't have any because you're not baptized. And my, first thought was, well, why would I want part in something that's so exclusive anyway? So one of the reasons I loved Rusty's way of delivering church was that every week he would stand up and say, everyone is welcome at this table, whether you believe or don't believe, whether you're Christian or not Christian, whether you're baptized or not baptized, because nobody should ever remember a time when they weren't welcomed at God's table. And that's what he stood for in so many ways, was inclusivity at a level that I don't know that I'd ever met before anywhere.
Right.
There's always a little click here, and so we have people we prefer to hang out with in our groups, and that's fine. But I didn't ever feel like I was excluded from anything. And he set that tone for us.
Yes.
So that was one thing. And then I just wanted to say too, that I went over to his house when I was in distress a lot. It was not great. Or when he was in distress too. He was in a lot of pain for a long time. 1 year he had something going on. It turned out to be diverticulitis. And he had said to me in the middle of this really deep pain, like we were all laying hands on him. And there was one day he finally broke down and cried in church. And he just finally asked for help. And he said to me at that time, I have had a great life. And if I die from this tomorrow, I can say that I lived a good life. So he had said that. The other thing was that this one time in particular, I went over and I was really in a lot of emotional pain. And we talked all night, and he put on a song, The Stars and the Moon, which you may or may not know. And he said, this is your song. Like he's always telling me what my song was. And he picked out lots of things for me to sing that were perfect and always synchronistic in some way in my life at that time. So I listened to this song, The Stars and the Moon. And then he said, I'm going to read your tarot cards. So T, you made me think of that. And he pulled out the cards, and the way he read them, we were to pick out 9 cards, face down, of course, and then he would read them. And wouldn't you know it, but the star and the moon were in that reading.
Wow.
And it was just one of those, like, whoa things. Yeah. And so every time he gave me a gift, it had a star or a moon. I think I have one right here.
A star and a moon gift.
Okay, so it's the sun, but.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's a box. So
there you go.
He gave these things to me all the time. And anytime he cleaned out a house, if he found a star and a moon, it would end up with me. So he was such a good friend, such a dear, loving man. Had his own stuff to deal with sometimes, and,
as we all do, right?
Cared so much about everybody, just a larger than life heart. And I thank you for hosting this. Thank you everybody for being here. It's so lovely.
Thank you all
to
for
you. I haven't
allowing this to happen. That's great.
Yes. And,
thank you.
Yes, Phoebe. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, it's okay. I just thought I'll always love him. And he called me a few years ago and said, I'm calling to say goodbye. I said, no, sorry. We are never saying those words to each other.
Well, you'll hear in a video that we're going to play that Rusty doesn't say goodbye. And not to preface it, but he doesn't say goodbye, but he says adieu, which sort of means till we meet again. And you're going to see that in the video that we're going to play a clip from. And then, Kelly, you have your hand up?
Yeah, next. Go next.
Next what?
Say some things after.
All right. I think I don't think we're going to be saying anything more. I mean, we all have stories that could last us forever, but
Okay.
we're beyond time now. And I want to share these videos. And then at the end of the video, Mimi, you could read, you could say the prayer that you said the other night, Tuesday night, right?
Sure.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. And Chris, you could say the Franciscan Blessing.
I thought I had it. I do not have it. I thought you had the video.
Oh, I have the reading. I have the recording of it. Rusty sang it. I thought if you wanted to read it for extra
No,
impact.
that's
Okay. All right. So there are these. They're not too long. There are 2 clips that we're going to play. They'll take us less than 10 minutes for both clips. And the first clip is at Rusty's. I mean, we have millions of clips, but of that, we have these 2 quick clips. One is at Rusty's retirement dinner on June 13th, 2013. And Kelly, let me know if I'm doing this okay.
Fran, I have a copy of that blessing if you want.
The Franciscan Blessing?
Yes, because I still have the white book.
Okay, great. So as Rusty says it, you're going to see he gets emotional near the end. So if he missed anything, if you could read along with it on your own, if he missed anything, I know he'll want us to fill in.
All right, I'm going to go get it.
Okay? I'll wait for you to come back. How do I get this to be a gallery view again?
When you're playing the video, you can't.
You can't make it a gallery view?
Not when you're
Okay.
playing a video, not when you're sharing a screen. It
Okay.
just comes on the side. But you can scroll down and see people on the side.
Okay. All right, we're going to do it in this order. Chris, this is all right? I hope we're going to do Rusty saying this is part of his retirement dinner. Just going to be a couple of minutes from his retirement dinner, which was at Davenport Club in New Rochelle. There were about 120 people or more there. Let's see where it picks up.
Kelly, thank you very much for doing that.
Let's go back a little bit.
Here.
Can you see that all right?
There are people who I knew from
Kelly.
Yes.
doing theater.
Yes, it's fine.
People that I knew from. There's other people from St. John's. Nancy and Shaw. Okay. I knew there was somebody else from St. John's in Getty Square, and then they came and joined me at St. Andrew's and Marseille. So if you haven't had a chance yet, if you want to see a little retrospective of how we all interacted over all the years, there's a great slideshow that Kelly put together. Kelly, thank you very much for doing that. And there's great pictures of the shows. Fran, you have to look at some of those pictures from Boys in Syracuse. It'll take you back, I'll tell you. And all the shows, I don't know how you dug up enough of those pictures to really make a slideshow like that, but it's really fun to watch. It's fun for me to see a retrospective. And Kelly was very, very kind in making a copy of it for me to take home with me. So thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate it so much. Also, there are people here tonight that I knew from various walks of life over the last 31 to 40 years. And I want to say thank you all for coming. And there are people who were extended family. Some people who we met through bingo. Some people who we met through doing tag sales. Some people we met through the law. Some people we met from, some people go back long before I even knew Anthony, which is for ages. And so it's really, really great that even some of the people who we just met in recent days thought enough to come tonight and be part and parcel of what we are about here. Of all the wonderful things that people said about me, I really appreciate that very, very much. I can only say that it's a great reflection of who you are, because I have really, really learned a lot from you all in all these years. And not only have I learned a lot from you, you supported me and gone with my crazy ideas for a long time. I was explaining to Bishop Knudsen tonight about the fest that shall not be named and why. For those of you who don't know about that, we had a lobster fest where I had the innate idea to serve all the lobster you could eat to 250 to 300 people. We did it, but it almost did me in for good.
Yeah.
That's it. We're not doing it anymore. And of course, just like Rebecca's going to find out, next summer we did one anyway. And when we say we're not going to do that again, we're not going to do what Rusty did. Yeah. It's going to sneak up and even say, let's call back to the old days because they worked. And what made them work was you. What made them work was our teamwork together. What made them work was the fact that you were willing to follow somebody who was trying to make his way through the church, at times struggling, at times at conflict with the church, at times with conflict with my own self and my own way of thinking. And you were able to let me be and let me grow with you and grow a church. It's a really, really interesting job to grow a church. And you have made it wonderfully pleasant. The people who are members of the parish and all the people who came and touched us in so many ways. Thank you. And thank you so much for this tonight. I want to thank you especially for your tribute to Anthony and to Lisa, because without them, it would have been very difficult. And so thank you, Anthony. I really want to say to you in front of everybody how much I appreciate all that you did to support me on all these years. And finally, when it comes to goodbyes, I think that the most appropriate thing to say is not goodbye, but adieu, which means, well, literally means to God, but it means I'll see you later, auf Wiedersehen, the next time. Adios. It doesn't mean goodbye forever. It just means until we see each other the next time. And that's what I really feel. Everybody's been asking for our address. We've changed our phone number. We're not giving it to anyone. But you will find it on Facebook, I'm sure. That's where we find a lot of you. That's how we know what's going on in your lives. And no, seriously, we do have some cards that we're going to be handing out to everybody. The last service on Sunday, June 30th. For people who like to have our address, and we'll also put it up on the website. We'd be glad to have you be in touch with us and come to visit us when you're down in the Bethany Beach Way. People have asked what I'm going to do when I retire. The answer is I plan at least for a long time to be a beach bum, as long as I can. And then starting in January, I joined a theater company and I'm directing Noises Off.
Yeah. And
then I'm directing a play called Morris Lesser, which is the songs of Frank Lesser, who wrote Guys and Dolls, Most Happy Fellow, and Unedited Business. And this is a new play that's been written by some people from NBC that we've met who are very involved in theater. And it's going to be lots of fun for me to be involved in theater again in a way that I haven't been able to be for some time. So I plan to do theater. People say you can do any more writing. The answer is no. I'm done with books. I'm done with books. I'm done with books. Although they were fun. They were fun. We had a lot of fun doing this, but I'm done with books. But I do plan to have a chance to write some other things, just some op-ed pieces and things like that along the way. So that's what my plan is for the immediate future. I hope that part of your plan will be to have a chance to drop us a note when you have a moment. Let us know what's going on in your life. And I can't be more happy that we have this opportunity to be together tonight. I hope to see as many of you as possible on Sunday, June 30th for our last service together. And then we're moving on July 8th. So we've been packing. And Anthony said to me as he was coming, we were coming over today, he said, this is the first time that it really feels like it's really happening. It's been so long in planning, and we've been talking it for it. I've been talking about retiring for 4.5 years, so here we are at that moment, and I'm so glad it was. It's nice to go out when people still want to see you and be with you. So I want to say thank you all, and God bless you.
That's it. that it? Wonderful.
I take it off.
And that's it. Oh.
It's Peter.
Oh, there's Peter.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
Peter.
and there's Chris. And there's Chris back there too.
Papa Peter.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
That's Papa Bear. I miss Papa Bear. Oh.
okay. The last share. How was that? Was that amazing to see him?
Yep.
Oh yes.
Really
Yes.
And
Fran, thank you for capturing so much.
Yes.
St. John's on video all these years.
someone's yelling.
Someone's yelling at their kid.
Yeah. I think it may.
That's probably on my end. That's my nephew.
Okay. It's okay. Everyone understands that, things like that happen. Whoever said that, you're very welcome. It was my pleasure to do that. And I saw so much. It was a way for me to be as involved as I could be and focused. Otherwise, I wouldn't be as focused. I wouldn't have been determined to be there every week and stuff. But anyway, this is the last clip. This is the last clip from the last service. And the clip includes singing of Spirit, I Have Heard You Calling,
Let me see my phone, please.
which was a favorite. Let me mute. Let me do a mute. Hold on. Mute. Okay, the last service, the clip that I'm going to show has a singing of, before the singing, it has a sharing, part of his the service. And then Stephanie does a special blessing, leads a special blessing, which shows the connectedness of the whole group, the membership of the church with Rusty. And then has Rusty's Franciscan Blessing near the end. And then I think after that, we'll have Mimi say her prayer. Rusty's prayer. Okay. So let me bring that up. Thank you all for being tolerant for all of the mechanics with this too, and patient. I think I need to close this video. Here we go. Close this video. Close this video. That's right. And bring up. Okay, it actually occurs across two separate videos. So the first part of the video, this is from the last service. This is singing this song. Pardon my voice, because I'm doing the video is maybe too loud or something. It interrupts it. But
Listen, get a Spirit, I've heard you call. See the word you gave me. Now I feel creation's flame. You are speaking through my longing. You are speaking through my pain. Now I feel you moving. I'll never be the same. Since you are my Lord, since you spoke and set me free, I have yearned for this communion, for your fire inside of me. Now your love demands my longing. Now your love strengthens my being. Singing out creation's name.
Now we dance in endless union. Singing out creation's name. Okay, this is how we're going to this is the clip that'll end it. From here, we'll just all say good night. Thank you very much. I have your emails. I'll send you, when I make a recording of this in the next day or two,
Don't forget, Fran, don't forget Mimi.
Yes, actually, Mimi, right now, okay? No, Mimi at the end, all right? Is that all right, Mimi?
That's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so this, once again, it shows the church, the camera moves maybe too quickly and it's a little blurry. But Stephanie, who's one of the members of the church, and a warden, I think, at one point.
May God bless you. The rest of us comfort about easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relations.
Sorry. This is Rusty's Franciscan blessing that he would repeat or say at the end of every service. And T, if you could follow along, I think you said you had the words, if you could follow along and see if there is anything that Rusty misses that we could just add to it, because he gets emotional at the end.
May God bless you. The rest of us comfort about easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may seek truth boldly and live deeper in your heart. May God bless you. Holy anger and injustice, oppression and exploitation of people, that you may tirelessly work for justice, speed, and peace among all people. May God bless you with the gift of tears, to shed for those who suffer from pain,
Amen.
rejection, starvation, for the loss of all that they cherish, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and transform their pains into joy. May God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you really can make a difference in this world, that you are able, with God's grace, to do what others claim can help you back.
Amen.
May God bless you.
That was very powerful. T, do you want to just share the last part of it?
Rusty. First of all, thank you all for coming here today and worshiping with us in our sweet church that we care for so much. And to thank you for coming here to worship with us and to celebrate the work of our pastor, the Reverend Dr. Raymond. Can I get an amen? Amen. One more time. Amen. Thank you very much. Today we would like to do something that's a little different. And it's a special gift for Rusty. Some of you may be familiar with the practice of laying hands on a person. Rusty kind of touched upon this earlier. He didn't know what was going on, what we were going to do, but it really is a blessing and a gift of our support and our good wishes and our love and all that we can send him off with in a positive way. So what I am asking for us to do is to gently, the people who are not invasively, the people who are closest to Rusty, what we're going to do is kind of form a web or chain out with Rusty as the center going out and up. So the people who are closest to Rusty, if you can come in and touch him on his back, shoulders, arm, gently, okay? And then you have to touch people connected to Rusty and so on. So like T is touching Rusty, Susi's touching T, Beverly's touching Susie, you know, out from there. The people up in the balcony, we need some people on the stairs to bridge the connection. Okay, so everybody grab, you don't have to hold hands, you can touch your elbows, shoulders, back, whatever. We're just trying to get the good vibes flowing, all right? And when we're all, and when we're all connected, somebody give me a high sign. Are we here? I think we're here. I think we're here. Okay. Remember, this is all positive, and just, you know, you're kind of carry it in your heart and your head what we're here for. Gracious God, we come to you this day first to say thank you. Thank you for blessing us with our priest, Reverend Dr. Raymond Hesse, our friend and our mentor, Rusty. We stand together today, God, to not only honor him and his gifts, but we stand together to honor the message he has been trying to teach us for so many years. That love and compassion are the way to the light. That we are all connected. That we are a living community. And that your creative presence can be found in our everyday personal experiences. Whenever people love one another, forgive one another, or share one another's burdens. We thank you for calling Rusty so many years ago. And we thank you for the life, skills, and dedication of our friend. We also thank you for the great sacrifice of Anthony and Lisa in supporting Rusty as he shepherded our living community so tirelessly. We are proud to say that St. John's Wilmot is a safe place for all people, welcoming everyone, regardless of their denominational background, their faith, or their lack of it. Amen. Amen. And that is a direct testament to Rusty and his spirit, creating a safe environment for open discussion and inclusion. We ask your blessing this day, Lord, upon Rusty and his family as they start anew. Be with them in their move. Give them comfort in the difficulty of leaving what they know. Make their memories fond and sweet of all they have accomplished here and all the people they knew. We pray your continued blessings on Rusty during this next phase in his life. May your presence be with him as he chooses a new paths and explores new horizons. May he be blessed with the strong connections of friends and family to enjoy the journey that lies ahead. Keep him vigorous in body, mind, soul, and spirit. And please let him know that we love him and his family and we will miss them. And we wish them all the best, and we will hold them forever in our hearts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Let's sing the final hymn together, hymn number 473.
Okay, T. where
You
are
want me to read what he missed?
Yeah, please. And this is in the name of not, obviously not correcting him, but just filling in whatever he would have loved to have filled in. What we're
Yes,
doing
he didn't read the last paragraph, which I will read.
right.
In the blessing of God, the supreme creative essence, Jesus Christ, the incarnate word, who is our brother and savior, and the Holy Spirit, our advocate and guide, be with you and remain with you always. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. Chris, before Mimi goes, is there any other reading you want to do or prayer? I'm trying to unmute you. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. Once again, everyone, Mimi is going to close it out. Thank you all so much. It's been a joy, actually, to go through some of these memories of Rusty, and he's ever present in our hearts.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Right, Kelly? Okay, Mimi.
Rusty set this to music. I don't think it would come across if I sang it, but this is his version of the Lord's Prayer that we sang every week. O God, the breath, the life of all, let this light create a shining heart within, and your counsel rule till by your loving call, the oneness of your spirit voids our sin. Grant each day our needs in bread and insight, and loose the cords of error that still bind, as we release the strands we hold so tight of others' faults who share our humankind. Don't let mere surface things come to us deluded, but keep us clear from actions yet unripe. For to you belongs the ruling mind, included in such a life that acts and does the type of song that beautifies all, and from age to age breaks down the walls, where in faith I pledge to be true.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm going to unmute everyone if we all want to just say goodbye to each other.
Goodbye,
I
everyone.
missed that song. I love that. I love that one.
So good to see you all.
See everybody.
Wonderful.
Blessings. Be safe.
Keep in
Be
touch.
safe.
Whoa.
See
Keep
you
in touch.
all
I love
very
you all.
soon.
Hope so.
You should all
Have a
stay in
good night,
touch.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Wonderful. Bye.
To Rusty's family, my
everyone.
condolences to you all.
My condolences to the family.
Allie, great.
Condolences to you all. He was a great man. Thank you so much.
Take care. Good night.
God bless to know.
Family prayers.
You were all blessed.
Night. And I'll send a recording
Thank you,
out.
Fran.
Okay.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Jan.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Let's stay in touch.
Yes, let's do that.
Peace.
Let's have that lobster dinner again.
The infamous lobster dinner. Do you guys remember at the time I was dating Angela and she was a chef and she and Rusty, she went into that kitchen and she and Rusty, I don't know how they did it, kept bringing out lobster after lobster after lobster after lobster.
that was something.
I remember Rusty saying to me he never wanted to see another lobster again in his life.
But us outside, it seemed okay. You know, we didn't know the problem. You know.
Rusty always called them friend raisers, remember? They were not fundraisers, they were friend raisers.
That's right.
A lot of people.
Love to the Hesse.
You know,
All right.
Yes,
No,
love
I
to
wanna-
you all. Take
I
care,
just
Sally.
wanna
We'll be in
thank-
touch. Take care, Sally. Nice to meet you, Ben.
Hey, good night, Michael. There, that great. seeing
Nice to meet you,
Sally.
Michael, Ben.
Good night, Ben. Good night, Michael.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Michael, was that a dinner?
Fran.
All right, good
Make
night.
sure you invite me to that dinner.
Hi, Sally.
Fran,
Good
make
night.
sure you invite me to that dinner.
What'd you say?
Make sure you invite me to that
I
lobster dinner.
definitely will.
We will.
It'll
I
be
remember you
wonderful.
at the other dinners, Rusty's dinners, yes.
It will be wonderful to see everybody. And really, I was just an observant here. And such wonderful love you each have for each other, for him. You know what? It's just, thank you for letting me be part of this.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And
for saying
Fran, you're a cool cat.
thanks a lot. Magical. Anytime Rusty's name or memory or anything about him is in the room, it brings to light what's really important: love and wonder and respect for each other. You know, it always does. Really.
Gotta move on now, right? Gotta move on with the rest of our lives.
That's right. We will.
And we have strength now, maybe.
That's right. Very good.
Maybe. I hope.
Yeah, I think so. I think actually knowing, I'm getting a lot of feedback, but anyway, Rusty instilled in me a positivity. I think I always had a positivity about myself from when I was a young kid, but he really reinforced it, especially when I was going through gender issues and stuff like that. I didn't really know my way. And he really helped me with that. Not even directly or outwardly, but just his presence and his welcoming nature, you know, very, very important.
Can I just share? I just want to share. Just to
Yes.
get this picture.
Oh, yes, very good. Oh, look at this picture.
I'm trying to get him in there. Let's
Oh,
see.
yeah, you got to move it a little bit, right?
There we go.
Oh,
There we
there
go.
you go. Very, very, bye, Michael. You didn't hear me at the end.
Anyway.
Wow. That's it. So say everyone's name from left to right or from right to left, whatever. Say everyone's name on the picture.
Oh, okay.
Hold it up and then point to the people and say the name. So from-
Okay, let's see. This is Rusty, of course.
Right.
And then the baby is David, JD, who was on earlier.
Right.
And Debbie, and then me, Sally.
Wow. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So your hair lightens it, you know, was Rusty's always red like that?
No.
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 Oh, okay.
I just don't remember him having red hair, but I was always the redhead. But I guess he had like a reddish brown hair.
Right. That was you standing next to him at the wedding, right?
Yes.
In the slideshow. And
Yes.
that was Gerry, you standing next to me at the table.
Yeah. Yes.
Table, right? So it was a while since we saw each other, so it was really great to connect.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for doing this, Fran.
Fran, it was wonderful.
Thank
Wonderful
you. Thank
time.
you so much.
It's nice to see everybody say such nice things.
Yeah, it really was. And spread that video around. And by the way, you saw some of the videos I put up on Facebook.
Yes, I've been
You
watching.
can always go to my Facebook page, and there's others there. And the one main one not main one, but one I want to get is this DVD I mentioned. Of
Right, that Shirley had.
That Shirley had.
Yeah.
Called Rusty Moments. And pretty incredible. It was like tonight, what we were saying about Rusty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Sounds good. All right. Well, you take
All right.
care. We'll talk soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, Fran.
Bye.
Bye.
Love. It should be a leave meeting button, like a red button. But I'll end the meeting and it'll end you automatically.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.